Hello and welcome to this edition of the New Indian Express Online. I'm Bansy Kalappa. With me is a very well-known researcher, a man who's been fighting for the rights of the oppressed, Mr. Edwin. He is chief researcher with the Citizens Vigilance Monitoring Committee. They work out statistics on how bad it is for the oppressed in India. Welcome on this program, Mr. Edwin. First of all, the atrocities against the marginalized groups, according to your findings, are on the rise. And can you share with us some details on that?
Yeah, the atrocities will always rise because of the increase in population, the increase in social interaction, and more awareness and all that. But what is really shocking and what should be of major concern for us is the kind of crime that is increasing. Yeah? And what we see is that the rate of murder is increasing. The rapes are increasing. So the most heinous crimes are increasing.
Okay.
And if that is not bad enough, we find that the recording, which is actually not possible at all in real life, but the recording shows that the number of attempt to murder is less than the number of murders, which is, a criminologist will tell you that's not possible.
That's not possible.
Yeah. Or if we look at the status of rapes, rapes are the most recorded crimes against women in against women of scheduled castes in 10 states, against women and girls from the scheduled tribes in 15 states. Now, that is simply not possible. So we know that not only is the crime increasing, it's only the crime that cannot not be recorded that is being recorded. And then the rest are either trivialized as, no, this is not rape, this is not even attempt to rape, it is just assault on woman, assault on immodesty, that kind of thing. Or, unless a person is dead, then you try not to even record the crime as attempt to murder. It will be said it is grievous hurt or simple hurt. So it's either suppression or trivialization. So to bring this out, we actually had to develop a formula, and we just called it ASATYA, atrocity, suppression and trivialization annual assessment. So to bring out this fact that even with the data that the government itself is showing us, the crimes are being suppressed, they are being trivialized, and yet despite all that, it is increasing in intensity and severity. I can't think of a better word than that.
Okay, now if you look at your statistics, in fact, if we just show our viewers this table, it's like a sea of red. In fact, there's, very little gray and green. It's like a sea of red. Very alarming, really, if you look at these statistics.
Yes.
So it seems to show that the system is not working, or there is a serious apathy which is built into the system which is showing. I mean, there can be nothing worse than this. So many years after independence, surely
Yes.
this is very alarming.
When we were looking at the statistics, and many of our friends, colleagues do work at different parts of the system. Some try to get relief for the victims, some try to get the rehabilitation, some go to court, some try to get their FIRs filed. Everybody had bits and pieces of the story. What we tried to do was we looked at the entire system and tried to figure out where what is going wrong. And what we found was that it is not one official here, there, that's not doing the job. It's not one department or not even one state. It's the entire system across the country, from the DSP right up to the Minister of Social Justice and Empowerment, because they're all directly involved in implementation of this act and the reviews. So the collapse is systemic.
Yeah. So the main, when you look at the system, there is a main perpetrator of the crime. So then there is a system which looks the other way continuously till the conviction. So, which means he ends up in acquittal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like the law enforcement agencies consisting of the police, then there is the prosecution, then there is the judiciary. So it's a very serious observation.
Yes, unfortunately, I would say when we look at the 2018 judgment of the Supreme Court,
Yes.
even the judge, I think it was Goel and Lalit, who were part of the bench, giving a judgment and making observations on this act, even they did not read the act. And I say that with full responsibility, because in this act, the entire mechanism is run by senior officials. Anyone can give a complaint, and that is after the amendment. But before the amendment, you go give a complaint. There's an immediate inquiry by the DSP.
Okay.
If that's under Rule 5. Once it does an inquiry on the spot, then the DSP will confirm whether it comes under this act. Once that inquiry is done, then the SP and the district magistrate both visit the spot for an inspection.
Alright.
After the inspection, the investigation is again handed over to the DSP. Yeah? And that inspection, spot inspections report is given to the district, the judge of the special court.
Alright.
So the judiciary is monitoring it at every stage. Yeah?
On paper, it looks like it's monitoring at every stage, but it looks like at every stage there is some kind of a systemic sabotage that is built into the system. From what your report says, it means that out of 100 cases that go before the system, all 100 can end up in acquittals. It's so surprising.
Yes, the law is only as good as the people who implement it.
Absolutely.
And with this kind of monitoring at every stage, and this is what I told you about the case laterally, but vertically as well, every month on the 20th, and this law is very precise. It doesn't say monthly report. It says on the 20th of every month, the district magistrate will give a report on the status of every case in the district, what has been done, what's the present status, and what will be done in the next 1 month, and send it both to the state government and to the director of prosecutions. See, on a quarterly basis, the Director General of Police, Additional Director General of Police, the Principal Secretary or the Additional Chief Secretary of the state government, and the Director of Prosecutions, three of them sit together and review all the cases. In January and July of every year, the Chief Minister sits with the 4 or 5 cabinet colleagues and their principal secretaries and reviews this. At the union level, there is a committee to ensure implementation. That's at the cabinet level, where the Minister of Social Justice is the chair, the Minister of Tribal Affairs is the co-chair. Yeah? Apart from the National Commission for Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes. Now, this is the vertical thing.
Absolutely.
So, with all this, if this is still
With
the
all
case,
this humongous safeguards built in, and still they're managing to do it.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's actually a horror. Now, can you look at this? Can we look at this as a visceral hatred towards certain groups which are marginalized? This is only an indication, of course.
Yeah.
Can we look at it as a visceral hatred built in, which you are only showing like a mirror, reflecting back?
yeah, visceral hatred, I would say, is something that has to be active. Now, what is more alarming is that this is so normalized that you don't have to have a visceral hatred as an active thing. It's so normative.
Okay.
That is the problem. That this caste hatred is being so normalized, which is why Ambedkar said very clearly in the Constitution, untouchability is abolished, but he called for the annihilation of caste. So we need to analyze caste. There is no two ways about it. And this is specifically a very good government statistic. and government data, government information that shows how deep this hatred is.
So, as all of us know, such crimes are underreported.
Yeah.
I'm not talking of murder because a murder is a murder, but you can always have a murder being a UDR. A murder is 302 IPC, but UDR is not that. So it can also be a homicidal act, when you look at the law. So when we look at this, what is the way forward? Because these are very serious and these are reported in so many states from across the nation. What is the way forward, really?
That's a really, really tough question to answer. Because what we have in this, see, if we say that the atrocity is a random act, it is not.
It's not.
It builds up and all that. But let's say it's a random act. But the very fact that in the last 5 years alone, 28,000 families have been denied pension, government jobs, a house, and residential education to their children.
This is across the nation.
Across the nation.
Okay.
When either one of the parents has either been murdered or raped or there's been dacoity. Now, the entire process of socioeconomic rehabilitation is fully within the power of the bureaucracy to deliver, and it hasn't been delivered. It is entirely within the power of the judiciary to ensure that the trials are completed within 6 months. But the judiciary doesn't care. There are cases on record that have been pending since 1992. And then we have a Supreme Court judge say that, these people are terrorizing innocent citizens. We drag on the case. We have more special courts now. We have more exclusive special courts. But the number of cases being tried and completed is coming down every year. In 2021, the average number of cases that the special courts and the exclusive special courts had completed in 1 year was just 18. 18 cases on average.
That's a very poor number.
Yeah. And there are so many families who did not get that government jobs. Are we saying that in the last 5 years, there were 18,000 people who were not appointed for a government job? There are more than 18,000 vacancies for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. So it is just that the Indian state and the state mechanisms are proving to be very much a part of denying any kind of social mobility or even the right to existence of the scheduled castes and the scheduled tribes.
And what is more appalling is nobody is making a noise about this. I mean, it is so scary. It is so shameful. What is more appalling is nobody is talking about it.
Yes, and see, when we had the Nirbhaya case, the whole nation was on the streets. My daughters were in school at that time, they came out on the streets.
And here there are hundreds of Nirbhayas.
Here, during the COVID lockdown, across the world, crime came down. Except in the case of the scheduled caste girls, there were more rapes of them, and that increased even during the pandemic lockdown.
Right?
And nobody wants to talk about it.
That's very shocking.
Nobody. So these are the voiceless. The data is there. Somebody needs to talk. And those of us with privilege must use our privilege, must use our voice for social justice.
Absolutely. It is so scary. I wish the system wakes up before it is too late. These are statistics which have been put out. Of course, the Citizens Vigilance Monitoring Committee is only one of the groups in organizations that is really working on this. There are many others. Will the system wake up And before it is too late, these are questions before us. Thank you for joining us on this program.